Welcome back to another video. We're watching TV. Uh-oh, somebody's got the camera. Uh-oh. Alright, now that I have the camera back, we can, we can continue with updates. So, not to alarm anybody, but I do understand that as it stands currently, the fatality rate for the virus is at 18%. Now, I know that sounds really scary, and it is. But it's likely going to go down as more and more, well, how can I say? Right now we don't have the full picture of everyone that has been infected and everyone that has, so we just don't have the whole picture. So those are only based on the people that we do know about and based on the number of people who have recovered versus those who have not recovered, obviously. And I can still hear the bullet train going along in the background. There's a track not too far from here, so I can hear it in the distance. Somebody's going somewhere. This province, I see that, we're not one of the, I guess, so-called epicenters of the virus outbreak. The numbers are quite alarming. We're just below that. It's, I guess we're in the range of 500 to 1,000 cases in this province. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm sure everybody knows about the giant jump in the number of cases. And that happened a couple days ago. I think I talked about it in the last video. Just a little more information about that. It was because of a change in how they were reporting the virus. They didn't have enough kits to be able to check everybody, so it's more of a, well, it's just a lack of resources. So they're using CAT scans of people's lungs and that sort of thing to determine that if they have the symptoms. So these cases were already there. It's not that there was suddenly that many more new cases. They were actually people that already had the virus. Again, we just don't have the full picture of everything that's going on. So the numbers, it's hard to get accurate numbers of, it's hard to get a real picture of everything that's actually happening. But it doesn't sound good. There's a lot of desperate people in Hubei province. I see more and more reports. It just doesn't sound good. So the reports from the government here are saying that by April, everything should hopefully return to normal. Well, we'll see. I will say the virus is pretty bad stuff. And again, I want to say, be prepared. Just, get yourself prepared. Because, even if you think the government's preparing, look at China. This place, is like I said, it's a modern society. It's not like it used to be. It's not like you go to Beijing and everybody's riding around on bicycles and in those communist clothes that you see in old pictures. This is a modern society, they've got a lot of order. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be saying China and rule of law and all that stuff, but think about how quickly this happened. It was just maybe a couple of weeks ago, everything was normal here, and now it's just like this. So keep that in mind. Modern society can break down pretty fast in the face of a disaster like this. So you'll want to have yourself prepared. Now here, we can't do everything that you can do back in the United States. I always have fun showing people here pictures of me in the gun shop, holding up, assault rifles or something, because, well, it's funny. They react kind of funny to it, but, you might want to think about having some guns. I don't know. And I'm not saying it's going to come to that. I'm not trying to alarm anybody, but it really brings to mind why we have those in America. And I'm not advocating for gun violence or any of that stuff or anything political. I'm just saying, if society breaks down, you've got to be able to protect yourself, because somebody might get some ideas like there's no, the civil authorities are busy elsewhere. Maybe I can come and take from my neighbor, and I'm not saying your neighbor's going to come and get you. Don't worry about that, but just never mind about the gun thing. Just be prepared with some canned soup and stuff. I don't know. Get yourself some rice, water. It's just a good idea to be prepared. You can't rely on the government to take care of you in this sort of a situation, as we've seen. I don't know what they're doing over there in Hubei province, but I'm sure it's getting pretty desperate. So I also just heard from my wife's aunt who lives in Fengyang, which is a bigger place up the way. They're not allowed to go outside. Her sister is out that way too. They're stuck in their apartment. Their whole family. They can't go outside, and it sounds like the government is giving people some kind of medicine. I guess they're calling it. Nobody knows exactly what it is. It's supposed to boost your immune system. I would be very suspicious of that. If the government shows up here and says to take medicine, there's no way I'm going to take their medicine. Unless it's a vaccine for the virus, there's no way. I mean, of course I say that, but in this country, I don't know how easy it would be. Like they said, if you don't cooperate with the government regarding the outbreak, you can face up to 15 years in prison. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see. They're taking the medicine. I'm afraid of what it might be. I mean, like I said, if the government shows up at your house and tells you have to take medicine, I don't know how much I like that idea. I'm going to have to get some clarification if they're forcing them or if they're just bringing it around and allowing people. Maybe they're just bringing it around, but who knows? Things continue to evolve here on a daily basis, though, as you can see. Luckily, we're out here. We can actually move around. I just saw a video of somebody out in another village somewhere, and they're talking about how the government basically collects supplies and distributes them. Somebody put the link for it in the comments of my last video, and I'm glad that we don't have to rely on that. We have plenty of supplies out here, and as you can see, life kind of continues. We can't really go to the supermarket, but life continues, and people have been working in the fields. You can see it's starting to grow, so there's plenty of food. We've been eating more preserved type meats and that sort of thing, but I think that's pretty normal for this time of year anyway. They usually they'll take some chickens and fish and different things, and they preserve them and they eat that throughout the winter. That's a pretty normal thing. I did hear that as things warm up, maybe the virus won't be able to survive as long outside the human body, so I guess we'll be looking forward to summertime. Hopefully by then we're able to move around and go about our regular business. I guess we'll see. I also wanted to talk about these trucks that I've seen in a few videos. Another person in the comments also gave me a link that went to a live video stream that was showing some of the people spraying chemicals and that sort of thing in these trucks. Let me show you a picture of what I'm talking about.
A Chinese water truck.
Now, it could be that they are loading these trucks up with chemicals, I guess, to kill the virus, but to be honest, they drive those trucks around all year long, spraying the roads and spraying whatever that is up into the air. So that's not something new. I guess they could have put something in there. Somebody mentioned bleach. I don't think it's good to be breathing bleach, but yeah, they drive around all year long, spraying the roads and spraying that stuff up into the air. I'm not sure what for. All I know is it's kind of annoying. If you're ever walking down the street, then you hear the music first. The trucks play music. So you're like, oh man, and then you try to scramble out of the way so you don't get sprayed with whatever the stuff is. I'm pretty sure most of the time it's just soapy water, but maybe they put some kind of disinfectant stuff into it. I don't know. Apparently it's not effective though. It's not stopping the spread of the virus at all. So I don't know if there's any point to doing that, but they're doing it just the same. I did also want to talk about something a little more funny. So what I heard is there's an article that just came out, a Chinese article, saying that this is going to result in a number of, I guess basically two things. The first one is a lot of divorces because husbands and wives are being stuck in the same room and house for all this time. After this is over, there's going to be a lot of divorces. And the other one was there's going to be a lot of weddings as well. So, just kind of funny. I guess Chinese people trying to find something to laugh at during this whole thing. I imagine it is rough for those who don't get along with their spouse, or who I just imagine people's patience get to be their patience is going to be very limited. Just sitting in a room all day, period, it would be rough. I've seen several people's videos where they're just stuck in their apartments, and I can't imagine if we were just stuck inside all day. Really glad when I see that I'm out here. I can at least walk around in the countryside and get some fresh air and exercise, see the sunlight. And today, obviously, it's cloudy, but normally, well, you've seen the past couple of days, it's been pretty nice. Today, though, it's a bit gloomy. The rain's coming, and it's going to turn into snow, so we'll be back into the cold weather here for a little bit before it warms up again. Oh, boy, I just can't wait for it to warm up, and I can't wait for this whole thing to be over. That'll be great. I really can't stress enough how I cannot wait for this to be over. I saw in the comments somebody, I brought up the Yellow Mountain and all of that in my last video, and someone was commenting about a painting that they have of the Yellow Mountain. I keep thinking, I can't wait until I can actually go and visit. Maybe that'll be the first place I go. It's been a while since I went there. It's, oh gosh, how long of a drive is that from here? I think I remember it being 3 hours, but that was a long time ago. The first time I went there, I actually drove. We started off, we were going to drive this little van. If you ever see China, they have these, I call it a micro van. It's not even the size of a minivan. It looks like a minivan, but smaller. And then we ended up in this little car. It's this car company called BYD. It stands for Build Your Dreams. It's a Chinese car company. We drove in this little 3-cylinder thing for a number of hours across the countryside to get to the Yellow Mountain. It was a fun trip. I enjoyed it. A lot of fun. I think I'm going to have to make the trip again. Obviously now I have a different car. That was a long time ago. But should be a little more comfortable in my current vehicle. But I do look forward to being able to go places. I hope they don't lock down this entire province based on the number of cases. I mean, we're basically locked down as it is. We can't go anywhere. I just don't want it to be quarantined to the level of Hubei province, where people are being welded shut into their apartments. I just can't imagine what those people are doing. I keep thinking about that, and this is where I again say make sure you're prepared, because those people are literally at the mercy of their neighbors, lowering food down to them on their balconies and things. It's a real problem. And I've heard that in a lot of cases, if there's one family in the apartment complex that's infected with the virus, they seal everybody in. So I definitely don't want that to be happening. Luckily, again, we're out here, so the chance of getting infected is much, much lower. And, well, they can seal off the village, I guess, if they want. We can still wander around and do things. Right now you see that it's the opposite. The village is trying to keep people from elsewhere coming in, which at first was annoying, but now I'm somewhat grateful for they're having done that, because, well, the virus situation is very serious. And again, I see those videos. I'm just glad I'm not like that. I'm not stuck in my apartment somewhere. Now, I am encouraged a lot. Again, we had that giant spike in cases of infected people, but that was a couple days ago, and it was because of, they basically just changed the way they were classifying people. And yesterday's numbers were a significant drop, so that's really comforting to see. Even now with the new metrics and the way they're classifying people, the number has dropped significantly of new cases. Now, a lot of people are going to say don't trust them, but, well, at this point, I don't know. I'm looking for any encouragement that I can find. So hopefully that means that maybe we've seen the what would you call it? Well, anyway, maybe we've seen what this is going to do, and maybe it'll start to wind down at this point. I hope that they have taken this. Well, I've seen that the other cities where they're having the major outbreaks, they're pretty much abandoned. Those places are shut down, similar to what we're seeing here. So I think the virus might start to die off at this point. People aren't able to go anywhere. They're not able to gather or shop or do anything that they normally would. So I think that it's probably going to start to wind down from this point. I hope. Again, if there's another jump in cases, well, I guess I was wrong, and that's unfortunate. But I'm hoping that we've seen the worst, and it's going to start to die down. But again, I don't know what it's going to do in other places. Just be prepared. And yeah, I'm not saying, again, don't go crazy, but just be prepared. You don't want to have to rely on the government or anybody else when it comes down to it. So I guess that's probably about all the updates that I have for today. I'll get this thing put together and see how well I can get it uploaded, and so you guys can see, and we'll see you in the next one.